Welcome to Decaf Thursday on a very cold Thursday. I actually went outside this morning to shut the gate for the dog that I was dog sitting, not expecting there to be snow on my deck. And when I say this morning, I mean 4:45. So I walked outside barefoot, not really like looking, put my foot in the snow, instant regret. Instant regret. Then my driveway is completely frozen, a sheet of ice. So I tried to get the trash can to the road, and that was something out of a Three Stooges sketch. And so I'm really, me and the snowman, we're about to break up. We're not seeing eye to eye.
It's not really the snow. It's more the ice now and the cold because the snow is nice. It's the ice that really makes things bad.
Yes, I'm trying to get up my driveway the other day. I was slipping and sliding all over the place. I either need to move to a more flat area, get a car with 4-wheel drive, or Mother Nature needs to quit being so temperamental and just give me some like nice dry cold.
Or we can look at the positive, and we have to work from home, so you don't actually have to drive anywhere. You're basically choosing to drive when you do so. So it's true.
This was coming from a doctor's appointment, so I was trying to be responsible.
You chose to drive.
It's true.
But I'm just saying, it's nice that we don't have to work. Because like when I see the snow, I'm not stressed anymore. Like I'm like, oh gosh, I don't want to drive 45 minutes and it's gonna be icy. So it's nice to be able to work from home.
That's true. Honestly, I'll give it that. But speaking of being at home and working from home prices in Nashville, I don't know. I know you and Carrie, y'all have a great house. My roommate and I have a great situation. We live in a house of our roommate who bought it and then got married, moved out. And so we all have great situations. But there was a time 2 years ago when I was looking at buying a house, and there were some really great, like 3-bedroom with the full basement options within my price range. Now, I can't even handle. I just saw on the Tennessee, and they posted today that the average home price in Nashville is $410,000, and that's median. That's median home price.
Is it median or is it average?
Sorry, yes, it's the median home price.
Okay.
I look sometimes at Zillow in Anniston, Alabama, where I'm from, just to see. Like, I just kind of think it's fun to see what the homes are doing there. If I could afford it, if, like pigs started flying and hell froze over and I decided to move home. And the homes that I can afford in Anniston are kind of nice to the point where I'm like, if I really wanted a great home, I would have to move back to Anniston at this point. Like, that is insane.
And what's funny is if you would have looked 4 years ago, you probably got 2 houses in Anniston, because even those prices have gone up. I mean, everything has gone up everywhere.
Yes.
But Nashville's become the place where it's like, it really is unaffordable to buy a house. You have to make a lot of money. Thankfully, I bought a house 8 years ago. I sold it, and Kira bought a house a long time ago. But It is really hard where you're either kind of buying a house in an area you don't want to live, or you're buying like a house that you're way overpaying for. It's like buying a 2-bed, 1-bathroom house for $600,000 seems insane. And not even a cool area.
Right, exactly. It is insane. I saw a funny meme the other day. There was like one of those, those like Fisher Price houses. I don't know if you had one. You have a sister, so you probably had a Fisher Price house. And it said, it was like all dilapidated, broken down, dirty. And it said coming to the market soon for $399,000. And that's how it feels. That's what it feels like in Huntsville. It kind of feels, in Nashville, it kind of feels that way in Huntsville. My sister and her husband are looking at houses, and even Huntsville, all over in these big cities, people are just driving the housing market up. And we love capitalism, and we love competition, and we love all of those things. But what the heck is going on? Nashville is not, Nashville's great, but it's not that great, guys. Chill out.
Yeah, it's ebbs and flows though. It always happens. Like, and I think that if I'm looking for a house right now, I'd be like, no, I'm going to rent for now. The housing market will go down. It always goes down at some point. This is not going to be a permanent thing. The bigger issue is that you're paying this much money. And there's also inflation involved in that too. So it's not just that houses cost more, your money's also worth less.
Everything is. I posted an article on Beacon's Facebook the other day about even like used car prices are just skyrocketing. I'm so thankful I bought my car when I did, and I'm like 3 months from paying it off. But
apparently I can sell my used car for more than I bought it for 3 years ago, which is insane. I could sell it for a profit right now.
What?
There's some I don't understand. I guess maybe I know that new cars are not as expensive, but they're like, it could take a long time to get them. But used cars are now worth more than the new cars are.
Oh,
because you can get them instantly. But like, there's this huge issue going on. Of course, there's gonna be this bubble, like it always is. But It's crazy how much these things cost right now.
Wow. Also, this has nothing to do with inflation or anything, but talking about how much everything costs. And just the other day, Stephanie, our coworker, sent me a text that said that Nike has opened a store in the metaverse and they're selling fake sneakers in the metaverse. And someone paid $390,000 to have their virtual house next door to Snoop Dogg's virtual house in the metaverse. So when we're talking about matters of purchasing and finances and things like that, I honestly don't understand anything right now.
Also, NFTs are I mean, I'm sure Ron will tell me they're great value, but they are the stupidest thing you could possibly think. So you just get a picture that somebody makes, you have it online, and then you pay a bunch of money for it, and people can still copy it. It might be illegal, but you can't enforce it.
I have $1 million idea that I kind of like joke about that has to do with NFTs that I won't expose on this podcast. But if I figure out how to make an NFT and I do this, I'm taking us all out for drinks because it will be brilliant. But it has to do with my vindictive nature as a girl who's been scorned by so many boys that I've dated, and making NFTs from that. So we'll see what happens.
I guess I don't think it's that hard to make one.
Exactly.
Like get Jordan could probably make you one.
This is what I think is my $1 million idea.
Okay. It probably isn't, but I'm interested to see.
I mean, I've never had I actually did in college have a potentially $1 million idea, and that was putting alcohol in Capri Sun packets. And then I realized that companies already do that. So they stole my $1
million idea either. Maybe like a $1,000 idea. I don't think that many people have Capri Suns with alcohol.
I mean, think about it, like a little kiwi strawberry situation with some tequila in it. Honestly,
yeah, there's so many kiwi strawberry drinks with tequila in it already. Like just put it in a Capri Sun thing is not $1 million idea.
But
it's kind of cool, but it's not like, I mean, maybe $1,000 idea.
I think too highly of myself.
I agree.
Speaking of thinking highly of themselves, yourself, himself, herself, someone, a very prominent figure in the United States, thinks so very highly of himself, and it's like he's living on another planet. I don't mean to be patronizing, but I kind of feel sorry for President Biden. I think I have been out of touch with reality before, and when you come crashing back in, it's painful. And I think that either people are telling him that he's doing a lot better than he is, or the voices in his head are telling him he's doing a lot better than he is. I don't really know, but what did he say, Mark? He said he was ignoring the polls he
didn't ignore them. He said he didn't believe the polls that showed him doing poorly with independents. He said he just didn't believe them. And then went on 10 minutes later to say a million other polls to say, oh, even some of the same polls that showed him doing bad. He's like, oh, but people want this. It's like, well, you can't have it both ways. But yeah, he said that the polls are completely wrong, which is every politician, I guess, when they don't look good. But then he said he's overachieving. He's done better than people thought he would, which does not match up with any numbers. I mean, it is, I don't know what I don't understand.
I will say it is really hard to come back to reality after you floated that far off into space. And it's gonna be tough for him one of these days, whether that's actually seeing a poll that he believes, which if he doesn't believe the current ones, I don't know what he would believe, or losing a re-election, or the people around him losing faith in him. I don't know what it's going to take, but all I'm saying is re-entry is very difficult.
I have to imagine, I mean, I have to imagine he knows that things aren't going well. I mean, like, he can't be that dumb, but like, he just doesn't want to admit it because like, there's in no way would like every poll that is, respected shows him doing poorly, underwater big time with independents. Like there's no way to say, oh, every single one of those polls is wrong. And like this poll in my head is right. Like he has to know. He saw it in Virginia. I mean, I assume that right now he can kind of, take the denial route. If 2022 happens and the Republicans like sweep everything, like it's possible, he's going to have to be like, okay, something's not working, because now it's all kind of theoretical, right? It's polling, right. It's these things. You've lost one election in Virginia, but like you could argue that was something else. When and if the Democrats take a big, hammering in the 2022 elections, then he has to kind of come to grips with reality and be like, what we're doing is not popular. The problem is, all politicians do this. Their takeaways won't be that they're doing too much. It's that they're not doing enough. He'll say, oh man, they're mad we didn't pass that Build Back Better garbage plan. They're mad that we didn't get the Supreme Court to 15. They're mad we didn't get rid of the filibuster. Like they'll take all the wrong things from it.
Right.
But it's not just Biden. I mean, it's crazy. Every time that Trump heard a poll, he's like, I don't believe that poll. So it's not like it's just Biden on there. And
It's
Trump's
like,
like, oh, everyone loves me. It's like, well, look at the polling. Not everyone loves you. You might have some people
no.
who love you a lot, but like, there's something about you need a real ego to run for president, I think. And these guys have real egos. They won't believe anything to the contrary.
I couldn't do it, man. My anxiety, I could never do that. But also, I'm thankful. I'm thankful that I personally don't know anyone who has a big enough ego or just just a massive toxic sense of self that they could not run for president. I literally don't know anybody.
I know that really is. And it's like, you have to really be full of yourself to do that, I think. And it's not, I mean, it's good to have confidence, but I mean, these guys have such egos.
Yes, it's actually unbelievable. So whether or not the polls are real or believable,
They are real. I mean, I want to be clear, they're real. And if anything, they might be overestimating his support, but okay.
so I personally think that President Biden is doing exactly how I thought he would do, which is poorly. And Mark, you gave him more credit than I did.
I didn't didn't think he's gonna be a great president by any means. But I also looked at the other, people running in his primary. I'm like, okay, well, I mean, he's the best. I guess he'll be maybe okay. And he has been a disaster. I mean, he has been a lot worse than I thought, and I didn't have high expectations for him.
No, even just like the little offensive comments, like little things, like little Freudian slips in all.
I mean, that doesn't bother me. It's more about like the things that he's done where like he kind of ran in the primary as this moderate, like this whole like Build Back Better thing. It's a super liberal plan. And not only that, the idea of getting rid of the filibuster for something you like, and like that was something he kind of never said he would probably never do. So it's these things that he's done have gone to the far left, and it's weird because he's gone to the far left, but he's still not getting any of it done. So it's like both sides, like the left is going to say you're ineffective, you can't do any of these things. The right's going to say, wow, you're going really far. And I mean, the middle's going to say that too. So like he's in a place where like he doesn't have a lot of constituents that like him right now.
It's kind of a no-win situation that he's put.
Yeah, kind of the center, maybe left, kind of likes him. I don't know. It's hard. He's having, and if you look at kind of they did the rating after a year being president, and his ratings were very similar and actually even a little bit worse than Trump, where more people gave him an F than A and B combined for the way he's run the country, and even worse than Trump the first year, who I don't think people had as much of an issue with Trump's policies as his personality. But
right, that is not the vibe you want after just 1 year. That is not the annual review that you are.
It is not. If we got that annual review, we would be fired. So
100% out of the streets. So yeah, that is not the vibe or the energy that you want. Yikes. Well, let's talk about something a little happier before we depress everyone, bum everyone out too much. So one of the things that I have found recently that I'm really enjoying, which is not a surprise, is sports documentaries and sports docuseries. That I think it was called Hard Knocks on HBO.
Oh yeah, Hard Knocks. Hard Knocks was the original. That was awesome.
Loving it. I watched the other day, one of my friends was sick and I went over to his house and we just kind of had like a sick day on a Saturday and just watched the Colts one. So much fun. It was such a good series. So sweet, so heartwarming. Cheer on Netflix. I keep telling people, even guys, you're going to like Cheer. It's so good. No one believes me, but it's really
and we're using the term sports loosely when we talk about cheerleading. But
okay, about athletics, athletes. The Formula One, I've not watched it, but I've heard it's really, really good. And now they're doing one about the PGA Tour, which obviously I'm going to totally geek out to that. My entire family, minus my little sister in our group text, is absolutely popping off because we are so excited about this one. So Mark, if you had to, I think I know what the answer is, but what would you, jazz excluded, okay, you can't say jazz. Sure. What would you want to see kind of a sports or athletics documentary about?
I've actually been thinking about this. This is weird. I thought about this a while ago, but I would love to see one of those kind of like a series. And of course you can't predict what's going to happen, but following one of those like little, small conference college basketball teams that makes the NCAA tournament and showing like their excitement when they get in and like, probably them getting murdered in the first round, but like following one of these small schools that doesn't get the, and following them through the year, it's like, and the excitement and like the way they feel when they make the tournament, or like the heartbreak when they lose their conference tournament. Like, I think that'd be a really interesting documentary because we never see much about these people. I mean, you have March Madness, which is like, you get them for 2 days where there's all these great feel-good stories, but then for the rest of the year, nobody, you don't know what they've gone through throughout the year.
Right. I think I would want to see one about swimmers. I really, when the Olympics come around, I like love to watch the swimmers, like Katie Ledecky. Michael Phelps just was like the world's hero for so many years. And you read all the articles about what they eat in a day and what they go through and the mental game, especially like or even gymnastics, like Simone Biles with the mental game, and gymnastics has gotten such a bad rap after everything that USA Gymnastics did to silence girls for years and years and years. I want to hear about the athletes. Like, I don't want to hear about the controversy anymore. Like, get that guy out of there, get everybody out of there. I want to hear about the athletes. And so I would love to see something about Olympians outside of just Olympic years, the preparation that they go through to prepare for the swimming and gymnastics and things like that, that are kind of like the unsung heroes of sports that only get popular once every 4 years during the Olympics. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, that's true. It's just it always has to be. I mean, there is a little bit of a disconnect, but it usually has to be something I'm interested in as a sport. Like, I'm sure that cheer is good. I'm not going to watch it because I'm not interested in cheerleading.
That's fine.
F1, I'm sure it's great. I'm not going to watch it because I'm not into racing. And even golf, I maybe I'd watch it, but like, it has to be such a compelling story. And I feel like even if those things are good, it's sometimes hard to get them in the door. So it's almost like you need a sport to start off with that people like. I do know the cheer is done well, but I think that it's because there's so many, girls who cheerlead in high school. Yeah. But I mean, that even though that's not like a sport or whatever, like even if it's a sport, it's not something people do now. It's like, there's a lot of women who did that in high school. Like, oh God, that brings me back to my experience. I mean, you coach cheerleading.
Yeah,
so I think that's one of those things that like, it appeals to people's, lives. And it's got totally like F1, nobody does F1. So I'm not sure that is going to do it as well.
But apparently Netflix did a great job with it. So I do want to watch it. But yeah, I think if they picked up something, an Olympic sport or something, maybe just the year before the Olympics.
Curling. I want to see those curling.
That would be so cool.
Them like not doing anything, just working a 9-to-5 job and getting like drunk on weekends, and they're like little small town. But
they're like, let's go sweep some ice. Who thought of curling? What drunk person was outside with a broom and said, I'm going to sweep this ice and throw a rock across it and call it a sport? Like, that is so bizarre.
They were certainly Canadian. We know that.
100%. It's the most Canadian thing I've literally ever heard of. I can't think of anything else that's more Canadian. Okay, last topic. Speaking of Canadians, we're going to talk about weird celebrity couples. And first of all, before we go into it, I'm going to talk about my gold standard for a celebrity couple. And then we're going to go downhill from there. So the reason I say speaking of Canadian is because Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are the number one, I think, most normal, most well-adjusted, funny celebrity couple that there is out there. Now, knowing that is the gold standard, let's go all the way to the bottom and work up.
Yeah. It's your gold standard, sure.
Sure. Okay. Well,
I think honestly, like there's some, so you do yours now. There is some weird ones now. I'm going to kind of go because there's a lot in history that I'm like, that's so weird. So you can kind of talk about now. I'm going to talk about the weirdest ones ever.
Okay, so the weirdest ones now pretty much have to do with the Kardashian family. Okay, so you've got Kourtney Kardashian and Travis Barker, which I love Travis Barker, but that girl molds herself to whatever the guy that she's with at the current time is into. She got like vampire teeth implants and just weirdo punk rock stuff, but more like Gen Z punk rock, not like 90s punk rock, like skater punk, the kind of stuff that like I'm into, that Travis Barker started being into. It's just so odd. Then you've got Kim Kardashian and Pete Davidson, which PR stunt, probably so. And then kind of like tangentially related to them, just because Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly are such good friends with Kourtney and Travis, is Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly, who just got engaged last week, and her ring has like thorns on it so that it hurts when she takes it off. Like, I'm sorry, that would be a no for me.
So it's weird that those two couples you mentioned, which are kind of like the two they always talk about the nails, Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox and Kourtney Kardashian.
Kourtney and Travis.
Yeah, like those are just like people nobody's heard of in 15 years. Like there's one famous person. Nobody, I mean, Travis Barker has not been relevant in literally 20 years. Nobody cares about him. He only became relevant because the Kardashian TV show is so big and she's now dating him. Like nobody's heard of him and nobody cares. And Machine Gun Kelly's kind of on the top of his game, and like nobody's heard of Megan Fox since like Transformers. So it's like these famous people have brought back these other people's careers. And Pete Davidson's only known when he dates some hot girl. He's otherwise not known. It's like he's barely on SNL. He's not in a lot of other stuff. It's like you only hear about him because he's like, oh gosh, he's dating some super hot girl. And also, I want to defend him a little bit.
Okay.
I feel bad for him because everyone's like, oh God, he's so ugly. How does he get these people? I don't think he's that ugly. And I think it's so rude that he always has to answer. He has to answer all the time, like, why are you dating out of your league? It's like, No, that's not. I mean, that's not fair. First of all, he's probably got a great personality. He's not that bad looking. And like you're making him feel every time you talk, he's already got depression. It's like, it's really crazy. I feel bad for him. He's got to answer all these questions. Like, why are you dating hot girls? Like, I don't know. They like me and I'm funny. What's your problem?
I personally think he's a catch because I think the most attractive quality in a man is a sense of humor. And so I think he's a catch. It doesn't surprise me that he got Ariana Grande and Kate Beckinsale and Kim Kardashian. I'm just saying
he's also not ugly. I feel like everyone actually thinks he's ugly. He's not ugly.
Not ugly.
Tall. I know he's a little weird, but he's tall and he's like, in good shape. And
the reason that I think it's weird is just because of the massive swing that Kim Kardashian takes in her dating life between like Reggie Bush to Chris Humphries to Kanye West to Pete Davidson. Like, this girl does not have a type. That girl has range. She will date anybody.
Also, Utah Jazz first round draft pick, Chris Humphries. Let's not forget that.
Their 72-day marriage. It's just like, okay, so before you go into weirdest of all time, I have one weirdest of all time. And that to me was Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton. That was so weird. They were like vials of each other's blood around.
They were the original, like Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox. They did all these weird things with each other.
Yes. They were wearing, they walked so that Machine Gun Kelly and Megan Fox could run. Like, they were wearing vials of each other's blood around their necks on the red carpet. They were the OGs. And so that's my OG weirdest couple of all time.
They were weird. Okay, there's the most, I mean, if you were there with a mismatched couple, I remember like kind of maybe not during her prime, but Jennifer Love Hewitt dated Jamie Kennedy from the Jamie Kennedy Experience. That weird and Malibu's Most Wanted. They were like a serious couple.
No.
Yeah, I swear. I remember that well. It's like it was, and like he wasn't even really famous anymore. And it was just a weird, like, I feel bad when people talk about, when people talk about what's his name? I don't remember his name now.
Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson that way, but like this one actually deserves it. Like
that one actually is so weird.
It's insane that they dated. I remember, and I actually looked this one up before, but Moby, remember Moby?
Oh my gosh, Moby.
He dated Natalie Portman. Yeah, that weird kind of like the guy who looks like he's 20 years old, and he's like 5'7". He doesn't even sing. And then this one was weird, but I remember at the time it didn't seem as weird then, but I look back. But Brody Jenner and Avril Lavigne.
I had no idea that happened.
That wasn't quite as weird at the time too. And they're both like attractive. It's just weird that they got together.
I will say though, I really like the crossover between like pretty people like Brody Jenner or like Cameron Diaz with Benji Madden and Avril Lavigne. Like it really paves the way for those of us who are like kind of normal looking, like very kind of straight edge people to go for the punk rockers. Cameron Diaz and Nicole Richie with the Madden brothers. Like, I'm all for that, honestly.
Also, Chad Kroeger with Avril Lavigne, another handsome man.
That is where we disagree. I've been with you entirely until you start praising Nickelback lead singer. He is not cute at all.
No, he is not. But he also dated Avril Lavigne, so good for him. Like, I mean, impressive for him.
And Derek, what's his last name? Whibley, the lead singer.
Oh my God. I'm not trying to.
Someone who's not.
He is one of the least attractive people I have ever seen.
It's honestly so true.
And I mean, I like Sum 41, but like, wow, that was another crazy one. But I mean, they're both Canadian. They're both into kind of the punk rock thing. Fine, it makes sense.
Sure.
But yeah, so I would say my number one would be Jamie Kennedy. I mean, that was and Jennifer Love Hewitt. That's the weirdest one I think I remember.
That is weird. I didn't even think about
that. They're also weird personality wise. They don't seem like they really get along. He's like so goofy and strange. And she's like kind of like
stoic and like
exactly
like a cutie girl, like kind of like a cutie girl. Do you remember when Jim Carrey dated that girl? Oh, what was her name? She was that blonde Jenny McCarthy.
Yeah, that's right. For a while.
That was weird. Like, there have been so many odd pairings. Like, I look around at all my friends who are married or dating people, and they all kind of look and seem like they just go together, like they're very compatible. And then you look,
or it's like if they're not compatible, they're close. It's like it doesn't look weird.
Yeah, and then you go to Hollywood. It's like, girl, what you doing? Like, do you see him? Because I see him, and I don't know what you see in him because I don't see it in him.
I guess part of it's like you like that because like they're probably spending time with them a lot of them or in movies or they're spending time on tour. And like they just actually like the person. So, like in some ways, I really respect it. Like I love that Jennifer Love Hewitt dated him. I mean, good for her. Like that's awesome. She obviously liked his personality a lot.
Sure.
So it was like good for her. I mean, like she obviously she can get whoever she wants pretty much in Hollywood. So the fact that she dated him is like, I mean, I respect it.
He must be funny. I'm telling you.
He's awesome. Malibu's Most Wanted is one of the greatest movies ever.
Funny guys, man. If you're funny, that just like takes you up so many levels. Being a funny guy is key. I will say that. So
yeah, I mean, if you can't see it there, then like that's the biggest funny, like not attractive person that's dated an attractive person.
yes, gosh, what a great segment this was. We're gonna have to round two this because there've got to be some that we're not thinking of.
There's a lot more we're not thinking of. I'm just kind of like, what about Alanis Morissette and Uncle Joey, Dave Coulier?
Wait, what?
She wrote the song "You Got to Know" about Dave Coulier. You want to know?
She did not.
Yes, she did. Look it up. It's absolutely she did.
Oh my gosh!
Not only did they date, she was like obsessed with him apparently.
Okay, that's rocking my little 90s child world.
I can't believe you didn't know that. That was like, I thought it was pretty common, like cultural knowledge.
I did not know. Also, if you've missed it, you know, look up the controversy, not even controversy, just like Scandy about Taylor Swift and the lead singer of Owl City, who is, talk about mismatch. She met him once, wrote a song kind of inspired by him, and then he wrote a remake of that song and put her name in it. And she was so embarrassed she'd ever talked to him again.
I mean, you should be embarrassed because it's Owl City. I don't
exactly.
think
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, like,
they had one really great song. I don't think they
Firefly song.
Yeah, they haven't done anything else though. I mean, honestly, the worst lyrics maybe ever written, but it is a catchy song.
It's just a bop. Yeah, it's absolutely a bop. But I
had no idea. Owl's gross. Yeah,
I know. I'm telling you, there are some things I have really, this is what I do. Mark knows this about me. I'm really going to reveal myself. But when I fixate on something, I fixate on it so intensely that I Wikipedia spiral for hours. And so I've been really digging into some weird celebrity pairings. And so, yeah, Taylor Swift and the lead singer of Owl City, which was never really a pair. And honestly, if she even heard me talking about it, she'd probably be embarrassed, even though I'm a nobody, because that's how embarrassed she was. And then
I did not know that happened. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, so bad. Research it. Do yourself a favor and dig into that and listen to his remake of Enchanted, because it is bad. And we're gonna really have to round to this because there's
let's wait like a month and we'll have some time to research. But I'm very interested in this kind of
topic. We're gonna research maybe our new podcast. Maybe we ditch politics and just talk about sports and celebrity
weird celebrity couples. That sounds good to me.
Honestly, that's our vibe. Okay, well, thanks for listening, everybody. If you have any questions about what we've talked about, don't ask us because we're not the experts. Clearly, look to Wikipedia first.
We're the experts on celebrity couples. That's it.
Yeah, that's all we got. That's all we got for you. Everybody have a good week. Stay warm. We'll see you next time.